Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Definitely my favorite day of the week, right? Family, faith, and football. What's better? And food. Can't forget that one, right? Anyways, before I go to church, I wanted to reflect on something that Joe Dispenza talked about in one of his videos I watched earlier. If you all aren't familiar with him, he's a neuroscientist and super knowledgeable, so definitely recommend looking him up. Anyways, he talked about really simply how our thoughts create our emotions that then dictate our behavior. I mean, it's really, really, really simple when we think about it. Thoughts equal emotions that then equal our behaviors, right? But I think that's something we all don't stop and really think about or reflect upon often, right? So I wanted to point out and take that a little bit further. So if we know that thoughts equal emotions that then equal behaviors, well, then those behaviors then equal experiences for us. Those experiences for us that we experience personally then create our thoughts that then create our emotions that then create our behaviors. So it's that whole hamster wheel thing, right? So let's think about this again. If thoughts equal emotions that then equal behaviors, well, then our behaviors are going to create our personal experiences and the way we interact and engage with the world, which are then going to dictate our thoughts and then our emotions and then our behaviors, right? So I thought about this really deeply, and I was thinking, like, it's like the whole what came first, the chicken or the egg kind of thing, right? We can argue this back and forth, I believe in conundrums, so I love to go from left to right and everything in between. I guess that's why I overanalyze everything. But when you think about this, it's actually really, really profound. If you all watched any of my videos for the last couple of days, I did point out how 95% of our thoughts and our actions are unconscious, right? So they are dictating our unconscious thoughts are dictating 95% of our thoughts and behaviors. What if we could get a hold of that, right? And maximize that other 95%? So this is for the average person. Now think about somebody with a lot of trauma in their past, maybe war veterans or combat veterans, or, even police officers, and witnessing a lot of, terrible trauma through witnessing children's, victimizations and things like that. There's lots of different ways to define trauma. That's not it. That's not all, but that's just a few. Or even neglect, right? From birth to 1 year is the most crucial time in brain development and how we're going to process the world as far as the brain developing. So, were your parents attentive? Were they not? And that doesn't necessarily make them good or bad. We had a lot of hardworking parents. I was born in 79, so, my parents were both out working, because, I grew up kind of on the lower end of the scale. But, I know a lot of people that came from single parent households and things like that, which made it even more, so it's even more important then for us to think about these factors, right? So then we have, people with a lot of trauma who get those overactive stress response system and strengthen those negative neuron pathways to our amygdala and our fight or flight responses in our brain that are then going to produce these chemicals that in turn cause us to react or behave, and by the way, many times are very harmful for our health and can put us in an early grave, right? So if we think about all this and we think about, whether anybody with PTSD or whatever that's triggered, no matter what those triggers are, that's why it's so important to recognize that those triggers may or may not equal the actual reality that you're in currently. And why that is because, again, as I mentioned in the beginning of my video, your thoughts are going to equal your emotions that are going to equal your behaviors. So say, for example, if you hear, I know a lot of veterans are very sensitive to, loud noises, fireworks, and things like that. When they hit that trigger, that sends off that immediate imprinted, terrible, horrific, which, by the way, emotions cement memories into our brain. So when they hit that trigger, they get taken back to that exact time where they are experiencing that negative or traumatic event, right? Which makes total sense. So then we get these triggers that are then producing these thoughts, that are then producing these emotions, that are then producing these behaviors. And this is why, a lot of times people with a lot of trauma and things like that can be impulsive. So what do we do about it, right? It's really important that we get ahead of this. Let's go back to, what came first, the chicken or the egg. It really doesn't matter what came first. What matters is today and what you can do about it to stop living in the past and stop allowing triggers to, and I know I'm guilty of it too. Watch my video from a couple days ago. I was a little triggered, but also felt like that's what I needed to get out there and say to put my past to rest and really move on in an awesome new life, right? So you got to remember, triggers don't always equal reality, right? It's kind of taken us more to past events. So it's up to you, do you want to continue living in the past, or do you want to move on to better ways in the future? Being able to engage with positive people, positive thoughts, meditation, and getting ahead of those. When it's okay to be triggered, I do believe, being in mental health, I do think desensitization can work. I know it helps with me, and I just wallow in stuff. If it doesn't feel good, I know I need to wallow in it until it isn't anymore. That is one of the things that got me into giving briefings for the government, because I knew I needed to get over that fear, because I hate being in front of a bunch of people, but maybe that prepared me to do this and be able to help you all. So that leads to, we all have choices in life, and you get to choose. Do you want to look at life and hard things as challenges, or do you want to look at them as lessons, right? You get to choose. One thing I do know is that I always felt like there was something in my heart, something above and greater than myself that carries me through everything that's difficult. And whenever I put my faith and trust in God, it's always got me through anything. But I will tell you this, I wouldn't be the person that I am today had I not been through all of the challenges, trauma, horrible events, being able to connect with others and hearing their stories and being able to support them through empowerment and getting over those things. I truly believe that hindsight, all of those challenges and lessons truly can, like they say, a diamond isn't a diamond without being roughed up around the edges and polished, right? So with that being said, God bless everybody. Enjoy your Sundays. Try to get in some time for faith or God, whatever that means to you, and appreciate your family and loved ones. Take care.